everyone. Welcome to the Woolly Wonka Fibers podcast. My name is Anne, and today is Wednesday, January 4th, 2017. So happy New Year to everyone. This is a video podcast about my knitting, spinning, my indie dye and indie design business, as well as a few other crafty things. You can find me on the web at www.woollyWonkaFiber.com. I also have an Instagram account as Woolly Wonka Fibers, as well as Facebook. I have a Ravelry group, and if you're interested in my personal Ravelry pages, you can find me as Bunny Spinner. So I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday season, whatever type of celebration you choose to participate in. We had a really nice, quiet Christmas. It was great. My husband is normally off. His work is closed the week between Christmas and New Year's, so he was off. He was home. We had a bunch of things that we did, so it wasn't like we were lounging around the whole time. I took Christmas Day off and New Year's Day off, but I worked at least half a day the other days. I finally got all of my big wholesale orders that had been kind of looming over me dyed. I have one smaller one to go out the door to finish up kits for Little Skein in the Big Woods, this final batch that she ordered. And a couple of custom orders, but otherwise I am done, which means I can start dyeing now for Stitches West. But I'll get to that in a minute. So we hung out. We had decided that we wanted to refinance the house because when we bought our house, it's been about 8 years ago, the rates were significantly higher and it was going to be a good deal for us to get a much lower interest rate. So for those of you who have gone through that process or gone through the process of buying a house, you know that there is indeterminable amounts of paperwork involved and back and forthing and, you know, hurry up and get this done because if you don't, we're not going to be able to close, and there's the 2 bank holidays, and I'm just glad it's over. It's done. It's done. Yay. So check that off on the boxes. We had a couple of holiday party type things that we went to, and otherwise, we just, you know, were around the house, which was really nice. My husband's been working on some major furniture building projects, which is something he used to do in another life. So he's hand built most of the furniture in our upstairs, and he's currently working on a couple of desks, one for himself, which is, I'm going to say is 98% done. I think he has one more coat of finish to put on it. That's not totally my thing, so I'm not sure, but let's say that. And then he's got my desk. He's got all the pieces ready to go to start being put together. So, yeah, kind of a nice, relaxing, be at home kind of time. We never ever do anything for New Year's Eve. It's just not our vibe. We were in bed by 9 o'clock. I think he went fishing. New Year's Day, if I remember correctly. I don't know, the week's kind of a blur whenever, it's like being retired, I guess. Every day sort of seems the same. Anyhow, we had a wonderful holiday season, and I hope yours was good as well. So, a couple of things just to put on your calendars. A reminder that I am doing a trunk show and meet and greet at Yarn and Coffee in Santa Fe. This coming Saturday, which is the 7th, from 12 to 3. I'll have the 2 new yarn bases that I'm going to be introducing this year with me. Some new colorways. I'll have yarn patterns, some kits, roving, and I think if I can get them priced, I'm going to take some Handspun, a bin of Handspun with me. So if you are kind of local and want to come out and say hello, please feel free to do that. I would love to see you. It's a great little store, and Deborah carries lots of things other than my yarn, so you certainly can do some post-holiday shopping if you're so inclined. The other item of note is I finally got my booth number, reservation, whatever you want to call it, for Stitches West. That is in February. It is February 23rd through 26th. And I am going to be in a different place than I was last year. So if you attended Stitches West last year, you might have remembered that I had a complete nosebleed seat type booth. It was all the way in the back. It was kind of at the end of an aisle, and the folks who had the first 3 booths in my little set of 4 were using the booth next to mine as a closet, which meant that they had it completely draped off and it looked like there was nothing beyond them. So I know a lot of folks when they came to visit were like, "We've been looking for you. We had no idea you were back here." Got an upgrade this year. Very happy about that. So last year, if you may remember, I think I was back here, and here are the main doors to the conference center. This year, I am right here. That little pink writing is my booth, and I am directly across, excuse the dire fingernails. I dyed for 2 hours this morning and all dark colors, so my nails are not the greatest here. This section right here is the Yarn Guys, who are one of the kind of flagship booths there. They've got a set of 3. So I am in booth 120. And as we get closer to the time, I'll put that up on Facebook and in the group. But if you are attending Stitches West, would love to have you come by and see me. I think this year I'm gonna have a couple of new and different things. Each day will be a special kind of exclusive kit that will be available with limited quantities. So I'll preview those just before I go because I want to finalize some details. So if any of them strike your fancy, swing through so you can grab those. Last year I sold out of the 1 exclusive kit that I took. So if there's something that appeals to you, I would say get there fairly early on the day that it will be live. And I will have also new yarn bases there. I'll be taking a mix of fingering weights all the way up through worsted weight. I'll have kits. I'll have patterns, books. I think we're going to be close enough to releasing the spring 2017 Filament magazine, issue number 2, that I will have copies of that available in the booth as well as the fall issue. So if you are interested in either or both of those, I'll be glad to sign a copy for you if you want to pick one up. So that's just a little kind of preview info kind of thing if you are planning on attending Stitches West. Let's get on to what I'm knitting. All right. I have finished up all of the projects for spring 2017. Everything is done. All the samples are knit. Photography will be happening mid-month. Yeah, I'm very excited about this collection. I love the pieces in it. I have a stack sitting over on my work table, which you guys can't see, but is in that direction. And so I have turned my attention to some other things. I am still working on the little cabled vest that will be a March release out of, my light is really funny here today, guys. I apologize for it. This is much darker than it is in real life. Brick is the colorway. This is my Freya DK, which is kind of a sport weight. So I'm working on that right now. That hopefully will be done or pretty close to being done with the sample this weekend. And then I'm also going to be starting on one of several samples for Stitches West. So that's my next task is for a new shawl pattern to attend Stitches West. Also on deck, I've got a lot of knitting to do between now and the end of February. I have the baby sweater, which I still have not picked a pattern out for yet. That's not for a show. That's for an incoming new little cousin. She's kind of the first. They know it's a girl. The first of the next generation down. So my cousin Lee and his wife Megan are due in February, first week of February. So I need to sort of bang out a little cardi for the new little one for when she gets here. My Aunt Iris, who I think I've talked about before, who's 95, she just turned 95 in May, still knits. She's already finished her project, you know, because she's that way. And yes, I know, right, she's got some extra time on her hands compared to me. She's not working. So maybe an easier thing for her to knit up a cute little sweater. But at any rate, she's already gotten hers done. She's already presented it to my cousin and his wife. Um, she's a wonder. She makes me laugh. Anyway, she was quizzing my mom about whether I had gotten my part finished, whether my sweater was finished. Not so much. Okay, so that's what I'm working on right now. On deck, past the baby sweater, I've got 2 more projects to finish up for another issue of Filament. And is that all on my list? Yes. Yes. So a shawl, a cardigan sweater, a pair of mittens and hat, the baby sweater, the vest that I'm going to hopefully finish in the next 10 days. I think that's enough to keep me busy over the next 6 weeks, don't you? Yeah. A huge batch of thanks to my friend Susan and my friend Deb and Jenny. You guys who are knitting samples for me, thank you all so much. I can't even tell you. I did have a question that I thought I should answer. I'm a little rambly today. I don't know. New year, new ramble. Anyway, what the difference between a sample knit and a test knit is. So a test knit is when I provide you the pattern, you provide yourself the yarn of a similar gauge. It can be Woolly Wonka yarn or it can be some other yarn. And then you knit the pattern. You give me feedback on it. You say, oh, this number is incorrect, or I didn't understand how to do this, or I think this is off on the schematic, or whatever the deal is. You give me feedback on that, and then you get to keep the item. It's yours. You can pick whatever color, you can pick whatever yarn that makes you happy. All that is good. Sample knitting is when I send you the pattern and I send you the yarn, but I also tell you what size I need knit, which is usually, if it's a garment, it's going to be something either 34 or 36 usually, because it's got to go on a teeny tiny model. And I pick the color because it's usually for a specific purpose. So it gives you a chance to knit the project. But when you're done knitting it, you have to send me the sample to either do photographs or if I'm using it like as a sample for a show, it goes on tour with me for a couple of months. You do eventually get it back. The good news is, and I wash it and reblock it and all of that before I send it to you. The good news is if you have it earmarked as a gift, maybe it's the perfect size. Maybe it's not. Hard to say. But that's the difference between those two. If I have someone who's interested in testing an item for me, and they want to use one of my yarns, I normally offer a 25% discount and free shipping, so you can get what you need for the project, you know, and save a little money in the process, plus obviously get a free copy of the pattern if you don't want to use something from your stash. I know some folks really want to work through stash and some folks really don't want to work through stash or don't have much stash to work through, or, you know, don't have, let's say, enough yardage of a worsted weight or something like that. But anyway, those are the two differences between sample knitting and test knitting. Similar, but not exactly the same. So thank you for asking, because I'm sure there's other folks who have had that question. Let's move on to spinning. I have been trying to spin about 30 minutes every day. A little bit more on the weekends if I can spare the time, if I'm not working, but 30 minutes a day. And it's not really a New Year's resolution. It's something that I was doing a lot of last year, but then kind of got out of the habit of it. So I'm just trying to get back into the habit of it. I try very hard not to make New Year's resolutions. I don't think that they hold much past the end of January most of the time. So I just make resolutions throughout the year about things I want to do. And in this instance, that was just something I knew that I wanted to do, kind of get back to. So I am currently working on the December Fiber Club from Woolly Wonka Fibers. This is Mount Fuji. It's a merino glitter blend. I think you can see some of the sparkles in there. This is all I have left of the original 4 ounces. So it's probably about 3/4 of an ounce maybe left. I didn't pull my bobbins to bring downstairs, but I am planning on plying this as a 2-ply. The other thing that I've kind of decided about spinning this year is since I'm going with the no pressure or low pressure approach to it, I'm just going to spin whatever weight. I tend to like spinning thinner yarns. I don't use heavier yarns very much. So probably DK or less, and probably most of them are going to be fingering. That's just how I roll. So this will be 2-ply. It will be fingering to light fingering. It will probably be earmarked for a shawl at some point. Haven't gotten there yet. Don't know. Spinning it because I love it. And this is going towards the prompt in our Spin from Stash thread. The January prompts, if you want to come and join us to Spin from Stash, are something with a neutral, like gray, winter white, charcoal gray, which I think this qualifies for, or BFL. So let me tell you what's on deck. This is old stash, you guys. No idea how long I've had it. Maybe 7 years, maybe longer. But it is BFL. I'm not sure that this company even exists, but it's GLBLF, Girls Like Boys Like Fiber. There is their tag. This is a mixed BFL, and it is, the colorway is called Ferris Night, F-E-R-R-I-S, Ferris Night. I don't know if that's like Ferris Bueller, Ferris Wheel, some other reference to popular culture that I have no concept about. Any of those things. Could be. Anyway, it is a whole bunch of dark plums, golds, chestnut brown. There's a couple little pops. This is kind of like a turquoisey blue in there. But since it's on the mixed BFL, which is a blend of white or kind of oatmeal and a darker brown, you can see right there, that's the blending of the dark and the light fibers. That's not actually painted on in that gold section. So this is on deck. Probably we'll get this finished up, the singles finished up this week. Then I will ply that. Then this will go on the wheel as my next project. So again, I'm not doing like a braid a week. I'm not pushing myself to come up with any specific time frame or goal or whatever. I'm just going to spin what I can spin. I will put a link in the show notes to the thread in the Woolly Wonka Fibers group if you'd like to come spin along with us. I would like to say, for all of you who have joined the Fiber Club, awesome, because this is the most number of people I've ever had. I've had to reorder fiber twice from what I thought was going to be the number of folks signed up. I missed that completely. I had to order fiber. I dyed what I had gotten, and then I had more orders over the Christmas holidays, to the point that I had to order several more kilos. All right, so come and join us if you're watching this. Okay, spinning, done deal. What else? Some stitching things. I don't think I showed this. If you've all seen it, you can just think of other things while I chat about this. But I have a finished little cross stitch object. I think you guys probably saw the finished stitch, which is from a company called With Thy Needle and Thread, and it's the January wordplay. I think this came out really cute. I made it into just a little pillow cushion, like decorative cushion. Backed it with this gray and white striped ticking, which I love. It's very kind of old-timey, and I love the hand-dyed fabric, which is called Earthen on this. So I have this upstairs, even though we've put away all the Christmas decorations, since this is January, right? It's got some fuzz on it now. This is out on our sideboard upstairs. So another little piece finished, and that is fully finished. D is for done. And then I wanted to show you guys what I had been working on over the Christmas holidays. I put in some actual time on this little Christmas piece, decorating the wreath, and I finished this section right here, right here. So this is the far edge, and it finished up the bow and that cute little pine cone. And in this empty space here, which is, I haven't decided if I'm going to like finish up here next or if I'm going to scooch up and start over here. You can see just right there is the tip of a mouse tail. There's a little mouse hanging off the top. So I may go that way, but my other option is to work on the chipmunk that lives here. So haven't decided which way I'm going to go with that. If you're interested in listening to me babble on more about stitching, I will have a separate video labeled Floss Tube. I don't remember which one that is, 4 or 5, something like that, that I'll be recording later this morning, and that will also go live about the same time. So more stuff in it. It'll be just about stitching. So if you're into that and want to watch it, great. If not, that's fine too. Finally, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about a book that I've been reading. This one has been on my to-read list for 2 years now. No earthly idea why I didn't grab it and get going on it. But when I was at the library wandering around, it was on the shelf. It's the first in a trilogy, but let me back up and say, if you guys have been following me for a while, you might remember in my Legendary Knits collection, I did a sweater called 6 Swans. And it's based on a fairy tale of the same name that has some different forms. The basic story is this young girl who has 6 brothers. The brothers are enchanted. They become swans, evil sorceress. And her task in order to bring them back to human form is to spin and then weave and then sew 6 shirts. And they're, depending on what version you read, they're of something difficult to spin. So the story that I've heard most times is they're of thistles. And so she's, you know, her fingers are pricked and bleeding, and she's got to still complete all 6 of these. And the other tidbit in the story is she can't tell anyone what she's doing or why she's doing, or that they're under a curse. Basically, she's not allowed to talk while she's working on this project. And this handsome prince finds her and, you know, wants to marry her, puts her in a castle. So she's desperately trying to finish these shirts, and she can't tell him why she's doing this crazy stuff. And eventually her brothers as swans come back like the day before she's either supposed to marry him or be condemned as a witch. It kind of depends on your version. She throws the shirts on them. She has them all finished but one, which is missing a sleeve. And so the 5 oldest brothers become fully human, and the youngest brother retains the swan's wing, but everything else reverts back to human form. The prince realizes she's awesome and not a witch, and that she's broken the spell and loves her, and, you know, happily ever after. Some of the happily ever afters are more happy than others. Anyway, this is the book that I've started reading. It's called Daughter of the Forest, and the author is Juliet Marillier, or yeah, probably Marillier. Anyway, this is the first book in the 7 Waters trilogy, and it is a retelling of the 6 Swans. I am enjoying this book so much, and I suspect that several of you out there, Jenny, dancer, this is probably right up your alley, would love this. If you read my other book recommendation, Iceland, and enjoyed that, you will love this one too. It's set pre-medieval. The heroine of our story is Celtic, and she's the youngest sister with 6 older brothers. I don't want to give away too much of how the author works the plot, but it isn't fairy tale-ish. The author's, I mean, it is, because there's enchantment and, you know, the evil stepmother / evil queen who puts the enchantment on them, but the author's obviously done a ton of research into the early Celtic period, with the wars between the Celts and the Britons, the influx of Christianity and how it was intermingling in the Celtic world with their mythology and the fairies and lots of that kind of thing, how those two cultures are intermingling and intertwining, and the wars and life, just home life in that time. All in here. I'm loving it. I'm not, you can see how far I am. Not quite 2/3 maybe, or 3/4, somewhere in between there. But the other thing that's great about it is it has a ton of fibery things, because obviously she's spinning this plant, which in this book is called starwort, but it's the same concept with the prickers, and it's not an easy spin. And then how she prepares the fibers for spinning, and the different types of looms that she potentially could be using. Just a really good book. So highly recommended. I probably will go on to read the rest of the trilogy at some point. I know my library has book number 2. I'll have to see if they have book number 3. But if you like Celtic mythology, if you like retold fairy tales, if you like historical fiction, if you like books that have lots going on in them, I think you would enjoy this. So again, Daughter of the Forest, Juliet, Marillier. Go find it, go read it, go enjoy it. And I probably will tack on a few other things I'm reading this year if I come across anything that is a prime favorite, anything that's a B+ or better on my rating list, just because I know there's a lot of you out there who are interested in the same kind of books that I like to read, and I know I'm always looking for good book recommendations. Figured some of you out there would probably enjoy having those recommendations from me as well. All right, I think that is it for this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you are a new listener watcher, thanks for checking me out. If you are a returning viewer listener, thanks for coming back. I appreciate that. Again, I'm going to be switching to an every other week, whatever you want to call it, recording schedule. So I will not be back next week. I will be back the following week with an update. Going to try to shoot for maybe Sundays or Mondays again, but it just will depend on my schedule. I have a lot of weekend stuff booked over the next 2 months, so Sunday record may be a little dicey, but do my best to have something at the first part of the week. So until I see you guys next time, again, a very, very happy new year. I hope 2017 treats you great. Go craft yourself something fun. Take care.